Hi, and a very warm welcome to Wellbeing Mission Control. And if we're going to explore the full measure of well-being in your life, we need to talk about a subject that might be a little bit controversial, and that's fear. Because if you really want to understand where a lot of your anxiety, a lot of your reactions are coming from, it's very interesting to consider that all of the negative emotion we generate can be traced to one single thing that we're afraid of. All of our negative thoughts and feelings come from fear. That's an ancient tradition. Now, we know that the fear response evolved hundreds of thousands of years ago to help us to deal with potentially life-threatening situations. For most of us, these situations just don't exist, although there are plenty of places in the world where life-threatening situations are completely degrading the quality of people's lives. But for the majority, this overreaction to life's normal events is a conditioned reflex. And the interesting part for us to start with is a simple fact that beyond a real life-threatening situation, most of our fear response is completely inappropriate. In fact, when you expose your fear to the light of reason, it's amazing how quickly those fears evaporate. It seems that our fears can't survive in the light of reason. Perhaps there's a simple explanation for this. The part of the brain that generates the survival response, the amygdala, has a direct connection with the higher brain function, the prefrontal cortex. So that when you begin to introduce logic and reason, clear thinking, you automatically turn down the stress, the fear, and the anxiety. It's a chemical reaction, it's always been there. But if we consider that most of our reactions really are an exaggerated response to what's going on, in fact, in many cases, we're creating the fear scenarios with our own imagination. This is when we can learn to become a little bit more mindful of how our minds are generating these crazy scenarios that cause us so much anxiety, extrapolating simple things, naming all kinds of dire interpretations that are not good for our creativity, for health, and our well-being. Great way to degrade the quality of life. But those ancient traditions I just mentioned, they taught us that fear, for the most part, is the greatest illusion we have ever created. In fact, when you stop feeding, fueling your fear with your raw emotional energy, it disappears. Interesting, huh? Now, the same tradition also teaches us that there is only one force in the world, which is, in fact, the underlying fabric of reality. And it's hard to find a word for it. We've interpreted the texts as being love. That's a word which has gone through many interpretations, particularly in the Romantic period from the Middle Ages up to today. We would prefer to see something deeper, stronger, more powerful in terms of love, which is a form of complete acceptance. And it's an interesting concept because the more you expose your heart, your mind to this powerful force that we call love, the happier, the stronger, the more balanced you feel. This force is apparently fundamental to all reality. And it's curious because it has no opposite. Now, we've been brought up to think in dualistic terms. We can't have light without dark, heat without cold, good without bad. But this unique concept of love is a standalone force, the underlying fabric of reality. It's a neat thought, isn't it? It's been around for thousands of years. And the reason I mention it is that if we tune in to its healing, restorative, balancing force, it has a hugely positive impact on the quality of our lives and how we think, how we feel, how creative we are. We remove a lot of that illusory fear and anxiety that we generate with our imagination. There's less resistance within your own thoughts and feelings. You tend to feel more accepting of yourself and of others. It's a brilliant formula for improving the quality of life. And of course, this revolution takes place within the domain of our own hearts and minds, within our mental and emotional energy fields. I like these ideas because they're very simple and you can feel the effects as soon as you start to incorporate these concepts into the way that you're experiencing life. It doesn't even require a great deal of practice because it's so natural. So let's just recap. If most of our fear is being generated by our imagination, if we expose those fears to the light of reason, they tend to evaporate. When we stop fueling our fear with our emotional energy, they just disappear, like a light being switched off. Where did it go? And when we move our energy into more loving, caring, accepting, supportive mode of experiencing life, everything improves. It's simple, really. And like most of these good ideas, it's very easy to put into practice. So that's my suggestion for today. Hey, if you have any comments, any questions, any observations, my email is always open, and my email address is in the description below. In the meantime, as you begin to experience this extraordinary power of love in your life, this natural force that makes such a positive difference to how we live and experience each day, well, that's excellent. And in the meantime, have a wonderful day.